Case number 13-8320, People versus Robert Bashara. I think that's for the record.
And good morning, Your Honor. John Boytala for the people.
Lisa Lindsay on behalf of People State of Michigan.
Ronald Ambrose, here on behalf of Mr. Bashara.
Mr. Bashara, how are you doing this morning?
I'm fair.
Very good. Okay. You're still on the stand.
Okay.
You're still under oath, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor.
Don't get injured up here.
I'm trying not to. I'm
Okay.
trying to get him. I didn't realize this is cut at an angle there.
What? What'd you say, sir? You good?
Yeah, your step is cut at an angle, and I didn't realize that.
Okay, very good. All right. You may proceed, madam.
Thank you. Sir, your motion for a new trial is predicated on the fact that you are dissatisfied with certain representation you received by Mr. McCarthy and Lillian Diallo. Is that correct?
That is one of the numerous.
You got to get us legal papers, correct?
Okay.
Let us get us legal papers. You let us know when you got your legal papers.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just organizing myself, but I can still answer her question. That was one of numerous issues that I had with the whole.
Okay. There's an umbrella of dissatisfaction and various specific things under that umbrella. Is that correct?
That's correct, and
Okay.
the representation was one of them,
Listen to her question.
I was only asking about that one aspect, correct?
and that is correct.
Okay. And you had a pattern of being dissatisfied with aspects of representation after the lawyer has represented you. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your
Put the
question.
microphone close to your mouth, sir. Go ahead, counsel.
You had a pattern of being dissatisfied with certain aspects of representation after the lawyer has no longer represented you. Is that correct? You've had problems?
No, I wouldn't say I have a pattern of that, no.
Okay. You were dissatisfied with aspects of Mr. Grimm's representation. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Dissatisfied with aspects of Mr. Krieger's representation. Is that correct?
Or
No,
Krieger.
no, I know Mr. Krieger, no, that's not true, that's not entirely true, no.
I'm not asking whether, is it in part true at all? You were dissatisfied with certain aspects of his representation, correct?
No, I'm not, I was not Mr. Krieger, no. I don't recall saying that I was dissatisfied with Mr. Krieger.
Okay, thank you. Now, one of your contentions is that you're dissatisfied with Mike McCarthy and Lillian Diallo because they did not call J.D. Gifford, the investigator you had with Mr. Grimm, correct?
That was one of the reasons, yes.
And do you recall talking on the telephone with Mr. Falcinelli?
What day?
A number of times I did, yes.
And when you talked to Mr. Falcinelli, when you spoke about on the phone with him, did you refer to Mark Krieger as MK?
I may have.
Okay. And you just said that you wanted your attorneys, Mike McCarthy and Ms. Diallo, to bring forth the information held by Mr. Gifford, correct?
Correct.
But you were on the phone talking to Mr. Falcinelli, indicating that you had successfully used Mr. Krieger to suppress the people's motion to get information from Mr. Gifford. Do you remember that conversation?
I do not.
Okay. Can we play the clip, please?
That's the only thing about MK is that for 4 months now, I've been asking him about that. And it's a simple request. I sent a request to the court and never heard back from him. So the court said,
oh yeah, he's supposedly looking it up, but I don't see him getting any results. So what's going on? I don't hear it too long.
that, I know he's been successful in a couple of the motions on that one hearing to suppress that witness, to suppress that, my investigator and stuff. I know he's been successful there. My aunt seems to think he's the best man for the job, but she doesn't.
So, in that phone call, you were talking to Mr. Falcinelli about Mr. Krieger being successful in suppressing the people from gaining access to the information from your investigator, Mr. Gifford, correct?
If that's what I said, yes.
Okay. So, in fact, early on, the people sought to get the information from Mr. Gifford as your private investigator, correct?
Okay, I don't know what the people sought to do.
Okay. Well, anyway, you know your attorney, Mark Krieger, filed a motion to prevent the information you now claim you want it brought out, to prevent the people from getting that information, correct?
That was his doing, correct. I did not direct him to do that.
Okay, so, but you were happy about it, correct? You said he was successful, correct?
I said he's successful, it doesn't mean I was happy about it. I was going on based on his,
Okay, let's stop right there.
Rephrase.
So, were you dissatisfied with it then?
I wanted the information that JD had to come out.
So my question to you is,
Okay.
were you dissatisfied with Mr. Krieger when he blocked the people's access to that information?
No, because that's what he wanted to do. No,
Okay.
I was not dissatisfied.
And you indicated earlier, when I asked you, did you ever express dissatisfaction with Mr. Krieger, MK, on the phone, you are in fact expressing dissatisfaction with Mr. Krieger to your friend, Mr. Falcinelli, correct?
We were discussing it.
And you were expressing the fact that you were dissatisfied, correct?
I wasn't happy about it,
Thank you.
yes.
Now, you testified at length the last time we were here in court about your coming and goings on the morning of January 24th. Is that correct?
On the morning of January 24th,
Yes. You talked about meeting with James Wagner and searching for Pat Hawkins and all that. You remember that testimony?
I'm sorry, Jane, who would you,
James Wagner, Jim Wagner.
Jim Wagner, yes, I'm sorry. It was in the afternoon,
Okay, thank you.
wasn't the morning,
Okay, I stand corrected. But at any rate,
yes.
you were talking about your comings and goings in the afternoon hours of the 24th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you were putting forth this testimony to say that you could not have went to pick up the closing documents. You remember that? You said the time frames would have been off, correct?
I was describing my where I was to the investigators so they could do what they needed to do to verify exactly where I was.
Okay, you did not give that information to the homicide when you spoke to homicide on January 26th, correct?
Yes, I did. On the
You did?
on the 25th, I did, absolutely.
Okay, I'm asking you about the tape statement on the 26th.
I don't recall if I did it the tape statement or that morning when they asked
Sir,
me.
didn't I just say tape statement?
No, you
Listen
did.
to what she's saying.
Excuse me,
She's
Your Honor.
saying this tape statement and you're making reference to another statement.
I don't recall
Okay.
the tape statement.
Do we have a tape statement?
No, we do not have the videotape today, but it was a videotape statement that was played during trial.
Very good. Okay, well,
Okay.
move on then.
Okay.
She doesn't remember.
May I clarify?
No.
Okay.
But at any rate, you are aware that your phone records show the phone towers your phone was hitting off of throughout that day. Is that correct?
I was not aware of that.
Oh, well,
Madam, stop saying where you were, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, as it relates
What didn't
to,
you? Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
so if the phone tower information contradicts your timeline, you would be mistaken about where you were at certain aspects of that day. Is that correct?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay, you would not be mistaken if the phone records contradict.
No, I wouldn't because Stan Brew testified that
Sir,
Listen to her question.
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
I am.
So you're going to say that, so you're disputing that you would not be mistaken if the phone record showed you in a different area than you claim?
Well, I don't know what records you're talking about, but
The phone record, sir.
I know where I was at what time, and I told the investigators on the morning of the 25th.
Sir, I'm not asking you about the 26th. I'm specifically asking you about the 26th.
The next day,
statement you
sir.
gave-
The next day.
The next day.
26th.
26th?
The
Yes.
26th, the next day.
Okay,
Not at the police station.
Okay.
That's the statement I'm talking about.
okay,
But my question to you, sir, is...
yes.
If the phone records show you were in a different area than you claim you were at, the phone records are wrong. Is that what you're saying?
For the 26th.
No, I'm talking about the 20, when he was talking about his whereabouts on the 24th.
Okay, on the 24th.
No,
in the afternoon hours.
could-
That's a yes or no.
repeat the question again. The answer is, I'm disputing the
Wait a
phone
minute,
records.
Listen.
So
let
you
me
are
say-
disputing the phone records?
No.
I haven't
Wait,
heard-
Stop, just be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
Re-ask the question, madam, because it's confusing. We're on January 24th
On
now?
January 24th,
Yes,
you gave a time that you were in Trenton, is that correct?
that's correct. Wyandotte first, then Trenton.
Okay.
Okay. My question to you is, if the phone records show on January 24th that your cell phone was hitting off towers in the Grosse Pointe Park area at 2 o'clock, you would dispute that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, you also talked about that you were not serious about buying this house on Kensington with Rachel, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But yet on January 17th, a week before the scheduled closing, roughly, you paid for an inspection on the Kensington address, didn't you?
I paid for what?
An inspection on the Kensington address,
I don't recall the date, but I did pay for an inspection.
okay?
Yes.
For a house you claimed that you were never going to purchase.
That's correct.
And that's because you were continuing with this charade or fantasy with Rachel that you were going to buy this house, correct?
No, that was not my only motivation. My motivation was to get a price on a house.
Sir, my question specifically is, you are paying for an inspection for a certificate of occupancy, correct?
Correct.
And you had to have a certificate of occupancy to buy the house, correct?
Yes, I paid.
Thank you. So a week before the closing, you in fact paid cash, you wrote a check, which was subsequently made good for $150 to purchase the house on Kensington, is that correct?
No,
But you did in fact write a check for the inspection fee, correct?
that's correct.
And it was cash, correct?
I assume so, yes.
And that was part of keeping Rachel happy, is that correct?
Not really, no. It was to find out what was wrong with the house.
Okay. And you were doing that for the purpose of what?
I was doing that for several reasons. One, I wanted to know exactly what was wrong with that house. Two, that I felt that that house was a house that possibly Jane and I could live in.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's go into this. All the paperwork that you had as it relates to these houses that you claimed you and Jane were going to live in did not have Jane's name on them, correct?
At the time, no, they did not.
Thank you. And also, all the contact information you gave the real estate people had your cell phone contact number, correct?
That's correct.
You did not give them your house number, correct?
No,
And you did not, on any documents, list the Middlesex address, is that correct?
I don't recall.
If I tell you that you did not list the Middlesex address on any of the documents, would you dispute that?
Yes,
You would dispute that.
I would. I dispute a lot of things coming out from the prosecution.
But I'm saying specifically those documents. You're going to tell this court that you gave the real estate people your address on Middlesex and said, mail things here, contact me at Middlesex at any time. Did you tell them that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Did you tell the real estate people that you, in fact, were in the process of a divorce?
I may have, yes.
Okay, and that was a lie, correct?
That's correct.
And that was a lie put in place to accomplish what you wanted to get accomplished, is that correct?
In regards to what?
In regards to why you told the lie.
Well,
You told
the lie was set in place for Rachel.
Okay, fine, thank you. So the lie was set in place for Rachel, but it accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, correct?
I don't know, you have to be more specific.
So you initially told them you were in the process of getting a divorce. That's the first lie, is that correct?
I think Rachel told them that. I did not tell them
No,
that.
her question was, did you tell them that?
No, I did not tell them
Okay.
that.
You never told them that?
I don't recall ever saying that to them,
Okay.
no.
Do you recall during the house hunting process, they specifically asked you,
They being, I'm sorry.
the real estate people specifically asked you, were you divorced, because they had to include that in their documentation. Did you tell them that you were divorced?
I may have, yes.
Okay, and that would have been a lie, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And one lie had to supplement another lie, is that correct?
In regards to what? I don't know what.
Okay, if you were let them be under the impression that you were in the process of a divorce, and then you in fact told them that you had gotten a divorce, one lie had to go on top to supplement the other lie, is that correct?
At that point in time when we were
Is
looking,
that correct, sir? That's a yes or no question.
I guess, yes.
So at least in certain situations, you will have to continue to lie to cover up the first lie, correct? In certain
Yes, you would have to continue it, yes.
Okay. And when you told these lies to people to accomplish the goal of, for whatever goal you were want to accomplish, you didn't feel guilty about that, did you?
No, not necessarily, no.
Okay. So you can lie to suit yourself and not feel guilt about it, correct?
Wasn't to suit myself at all. That's incorrect.
Okay. To suit your purposes. You were doing, even if you were doing it for somebody else, it was for your purpose, correct?
No, not necessarily. It was also to protect my family.
To protect your family from what?
From my from the lifestyle, yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So once again.
So wait a minute, hold on for a minute. So basically what it was is you wanted to have both. You wanted your family and you would lie to protect your mistress and your lifestyle. Is that correct?
No, not necessarily, Your
No.
Honor. I had everything. My family was in great shape. I loved my wife. My kids were doing wonderfully.
But you still were having an affair with another woman.
I was involved in a lifestyle with a number of women.
But
Wasn't just
specifically,
one.
Wait a minute. You were not trying to buy everybody of all the other women houses in Grosse Pointe, were you?
I wasn't buying Rachel a house either.
That was all a lie.
There was no house purchase, Your
Wait a
Honor.
minute.
Yes.
So the point of it is you had a family you wanted to protect. Is that what you indicated? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
And you wanted to protect them with lies. Is that correct?
I wanted.
Yes or no?
No, that's not 100% true, no.
And you wanted to protect Rachel from finding out about your wife because that's why you told her you were divorced, right?
She knew about my wife.
But she knew you weren't divorced.
No, that's correct.
Now, let's talk
And you
about,
weren't even planning a divorce, were you?
Absolutely not.
But you told Rachel you were.
I did.
Because you wanted to do, and you say whatever was necessary to protect what you wanted.
No,
Is that
that's
correct?
it. That's incorrect.
Okay, go ahead.
well, let's talk a little bit about these lies. I'm assuming you love Jane more than you loved Rachel. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt, correct? That you love Jane more than you love Rachel, right?
Absolutely.
No question.
No question.
So, if you would lie to Rachel to protect Rachel, you would lie to Jane to protect Jane, correct?
Yes or no?
I'd like you to rephrase that question.
No.
What don't you understand about that question? She said, would you lie to Jane? Yes or no?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And when you would lie to Jane, likewise, you would not feel any guilt, correct?
Yes, I would.
But not so much guilt to prevent you from doing it, correct?
Yes or no?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, in addition to lying to Jane and Rachel, you lied to Rachel's children. Is that correct?
No, I did not.
You had conversations with Rachel's children, correct?
I did.
And you told Rachel's children that you guys were going to get married and live together, correct?
No, she told them that. I did
And
not
you-
tell
Okay,
them.
fine. You didn't dispute it, did you?
Pardon me?
You did not dispute it, did you?
I don't know when she told them that.
Well, then how do you know that she told him?
Because she told me she told them.
And, hey, wait a minute. Let's. You called Rachel's. The phone records show you had conversations with Rachel's son. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Which, well, there's three sons, so which
Did
one?
you ever at any point disabuse any of her children of the notion that you had pure intentions toward their mother? Did you ever disabuse them of that notion?
That I had what intentions?
That you had intentions of marrying their mother. Did you ever disabuse any of those children of that notion when you spoke to them?
No, I did not.
Okay. So you likewise fostered that lie, correct?
No, because it was, I didn't.
If you knew you weren't going to marry her,
That's
and
correct.
she told her children that If you did not disabuse them of that notion, you fostered that lie, correct?
I don't know what she told her children. I have no clue what she told her
But
children.
when you found out that she told her kids that you were going to be together, you didn't go out your way to email or to call them and say that we weren't, did you?
That's correct. What I did do is tell them I would take care of their mother, which is exactly what I did.
Okay.
Now,
Take care in what area?
In a number of areas, Your
Why
Honor.
don't you didn't say what they are?
Okay, first of all, in helping her with her finances.
So you gave her money?
No,
Yes
I did
or no?
not. I did not give her money. I
paid her bills?
I allowed her, no, I did not. I allowed her to work and earn money for her daughter's wedding. I helped her with her daughter's wedding,
Now, how she earned the money?
painting, doing yard work, doing planting work, cooking at that barbecue.
So how much you pay her an hour for doing all of that?
I don't think it was by the hour, it was more by the job.
Okay. So she, in that time, Fran, how long did she have these responsibilities that you're quoting to me?
Well, she helped
How
me
long?
for 2.5 years.
So 2.5 years, she earned $7,000.
No, that's it. No, I didn't start paying her until closer to the time, probably the summer of 2011.
Okay, all right.
well, let's talk some more about lies. You lied to your mother when you took out a loan from your mother to allow Rachel to buy that house on Caddy.
Did you lie to your mother?
No, I did not.
You told your mother, I am borrowing this money for my slave Rachel.
Is that what you told her?
No, no, I did not tell her
Why
that.
you didn't tell her that?
Because the money was not all used for that.
Oh,
Well, how much was used for it?
Out of 23,000, 19,000 was used for that.
Well, the majority of it was used for to buy a house for your slave.
It wasn't, my mom did not ask me what it was for.
okay.
And you didn't volunteer either.
That's correct.
Let me put it to you this way. Your mother wouldn't have loaned you the money if she would have known what the purpose for, would she?
I don't know.
Okay, but you didn't tell her because you didn't want to find out, correct?
It wasn't any of her business.
But you didn't tell her because you didn't want her to find out, correct?
I did not tell her.
Wait a minute. It's not her business, but you borrowing her money.
I had 3 loans with my mother.
Okay, how much?
Three loans. One was for, this is a estimate.
Okay, estimate.
One was for 25,000.
Okay.
One was for 22 or 23, and another one was for 20. They were for a multitude of things, for
then
tuition.
Wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
25 and 23 were prior to you borrowing this money for your girlfriend?
No. 20 and 25 were.
So you owed your mother $45,000.
That's correct.
Then you went and borrowed 23 more thousand to give your slave $19,000? Is that what you're saying?
To buy a house on Cadieux, correct.
For your slave?
Yes.
Okay, and let's talk about a little bit more about lies. That sale was a short sale, is that correct?
Okay.
I'm sorry?
A short sale.
The sale of the property on Caddy was a short sale, correct?
Yes.
And a short sale is not to be made to a person you know, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay, so you think that you can go into the bank and do a short sale to your girlfriend? You think that's kosher?
He didn't say girlfriend, slave.
To your slave. You think that's kosher?
No.
Do you think that met all the requirements of the law for a legal and valid short sale?
I was told by Don Calcaterra that I could not have a family member. The answer is no then. The answer is no to your question.
Okay, so the answer is no. You thought that it was okay to do a short sale to a person you knew and were in an intimate relationship with. You're saying you thought that was okay, correct?
Yes or no?
She's confused me. I don't understand the question again.
What don't you understand, Mr. Bashara?
I'd like her to repeat the question, Your Honor.
You're saying you believe that it was okay to do a short sale to somebody that you were having an intimate relationship with. Yes or no?
No,
Thank you. But you did it anyway, correct?
that's correct.
Now, you talked about lies and earlier when you testified, you said that you would not be in significant financial difficulties without Jane's income. Did you say that?
I'm sorry, I would not be in significant financial difficulty without Jane's.
Without Jane's income.
I don't recall saying that. I may have said that.
Okay, if you said that, was that true?
Absolutely.
you would have been in significant financial difficulty.
Significant? No. I would have been, it would have taken a substantial amount of the income that we worked together to earn away, yes.
Okay. So your standard of living would have went down without Jane's life
No,
income?
it would not have.
Okay.
Why wouldn't it have?
Because I had $2.5 million worth of real estate that I was accumulating $60,000 to $65,000 a year in equity on. I was in my mother's trust for that. It was almost $1 million trust. I was 50% of that. I was not worried about the future. I had the Middlesex home that if Jane and I were to have split, we would have split that house.
But all of the things that you indicated were not liquid cash. Equity in the home, you couldn't get to. You couldn't.
Why couldn't I get to that?
Could you?
Sure, I could have. The mortgage balance was only $90,000. The house was worth $500,000.
But you needed your wife to sign off to get the equity, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But at any rate, within 6 months of not having Jane's income, you had to go to your mother to borrow substantial amounts of money. Is that correct?
I also wasn't working. Yes, it is correct.
Okay. But you weren't working, but your income at United Labs was nowhere near the income Jane made, correct?
That's correct.
In your last year at United Labs, I think you told the police you made approximately $30,000, correct?
That would be correct.
Okay.
As I recall, yes.
Okay. So within 6 months of Jane being dead, you, on the same day, July 9th, 2012, you take out 2 promissory notes from your mother. Is that correct?
On what day? And
July 9th, 2012.
July 9th, 2012. I did not take out promissory notes. Those were brought to me by my cousin Stephanie.
Okay, well here, let's.
Do you have a copy, Mr. Ambrose?
I don't.
Okay, I'll let him look at it.
Please.
And the exhibit numbers, trial exhibit numbers are on those. And these, for the record, are trial exhibit number 456 and 457.
Very good. Take a look at them. Upon reading them, let us know when you finished. Just take your time.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. And July 9th is the date on both of those promissory notes. Is that correct? 2012, correct?
Yes, it is.
And your signature's on both of those two promises?
That is my signature, correct.
Okay. So on one of the promissory notes, you signed a promissory note for $74,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the other promissory note you signed for roughly $146,000.
That's correct.
But I note
And
that
the date was July 6th?
July
July 9th.
9th.
And I note from the last time you testified, when you testified here, the last day we were here, you testified that you never borrowed large sums of money from your mother.
That's correct.
Okay.
So you didn't consider $146,000, $74,000, 2 promissory notes large sums?
May I explain, Your Honor?
Yes or no? Do you
They are large sums,
Okay.
but when I made that statement, I hadn't borrowed that money from my mother.
Okay.
Okay.
The statement, I'm talking about your testimony just the last time we were in court.
Okay.
The last time we were in court, you sat on that witness stand.
Wait, please.
And you said, I never borrowed large sums of money from my mother. That's what you said, sitting on that witness stand, last time you were here on the stand.
That's correct.
Okay. Those promissory notes predate that testimony, correct?
That's correct.
So when you were testifying, you must have been testifying in error that you never borrowed large sums of money from your mother.
Those are not monies that I specifically borrowed.
Well, who did?
May I explain those to you?
No. Did you your name on that promissory note?
Yes,
And did you put it there?
I did.
Okay.
Now, one of the other assets or one of the other complaints you have about your attorneys is that they did not bring up Jane's medical condition. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now,
They did not investigate it.
okay.
That's correct.
Okay, fine. Now, you talked to the police at length on January 26, 2012 at the police station, is that correct?
I did.
And they, at that point in time, were asking you about whether you thought Jane was having any affairs, is that correct? You remember that line of questioning?
I don't recall that, no.
Okay, you don't recall that. But at any rate, did you tell the police that Jane could not, it's highly unlikely Jane would be out having affairs because she has a medical condition that makes sex difficult or painful? Did you tell them that?
I don't recall that, no.
Okay. Well, if I were to tell you that it's not in your statement, will you dispute that?
Ma'am, I dispute almost everything you might
So-
say.
So you would dispute the fact that it's not in your statement?
I don't recall whether it was in my statement or not, no.
Would you like to take a
look at
look?
your statement?
No, you're,
Okay, no. Would you like to look at your statement? Either you're going to dispute it or you're not. If you're going to dispute it, we'll look at your
all right,
statement.
if you're telling me it wasn't in there, then I believe you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you do? But you just indicated you.
Well, because
Ms. Lindsay, see?
then you want to bring me the statement, I'll read it.
Okay, no, we want you to answer the question.
I don't recall saying that at that time,
Okay,
no.
okay. Certainly, you embarked on a public relations, when you went to the media to give your interviews, you were doing that for the purpose to put your relationship with Jane in context. Is that correct?
I was doing it at Mr. Grimm's request.
Okay, and once again, at Mr. Grimm's request, you had the opportunity to put your spin on what was going on, correct?
I told the truth.
Okay, and when you talked to any of the you talked to Good Morning America, is that correct?
Yes,
You talked to Dateline, is that correct?
yes.
And you did a slew of local interviews, correct?
I don't recall how many. A slew sounds like a
At
lot.
least more than 4 interviews.
I don't think, total, yes.
Total,
Okay,
more
thank
than
you.
4.
And you also did print media. I mean, reporters who printed media. You did visual media, audio media, and print media. Is that correct?
No,
You didn't talk to newspaper people?
I don't recall who I talked to.
Okay. But at any rate, you had an opportunity when you spoke to any of those people in the media to tell them why you had an understanding with your wife, correct?
I had the opportunity to say that, yes.
Okay. And at that point in time, when you had the opportunity, you did not say anything about Jane's physical condition made sex difficult, and therefore you had understanding. You told nobody that, is that correct?
That's correct, per Mr. Grimm's request.
Okay, so now we're blaming Mr. Grimm for that.
I'm not blaming him, that's the truth.
But let me
So,
ask this question, wait a minute.
Sure.
How long was Mr. Grimm's representation, was he representing you?
Probably, I think I hired him that first week in February. I'm going to say like February 5th or 6th.
Of
was-
2012?
Yeah, yes, correct. Until after I was arrested in June
Which is June
of 2012, correct.
So after that, your relationship ceased with him, is that correct?
I actually, prior to that, I begged off a lot with him. I stopped the interviews after the Dateline. I'm quite sure it was the Dateline. I did no more interviews. I told him that I wasn't happy with his representation, and I wanted, basically I wanted him to pursue a couple areas. The Paul Monroe phone call, and to pursue the whole idea of this Charles Wilson and that aspect of it.
Okay. And, but you spoke with somebody who was a reporter after you fired Mr. Grimm, is that correct?
After June of 2012?
I don't recall, no.
You recall jail calls to Steve Miller, who was an author, a book author, is that correct?
I have talked to Steve Miller, yes.
And you talked to Steve Miller at length, is that correct?
I would not say at length, we talked.
Okay. And you were not under the direction of Mr. Grimm at that point in time? is that
I was not.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, your present attorneys during that time, Renee Cooper and them, said, do not talk to the reporter, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what?
You were instructed not to talk to any reporters, correct?
By
Yeah,
Renee Cooper?
yes, they did not want me to talk to anyone.
And you, in fact, despite them telling you not to talk to Mr. Steve Miller, a book author. You spoke to him, is that correct? On the phone.
They did not tell me to talk to Mr. Steve Miller per se.
They said don't talk to any media people, correct?
Well, I looked at him as an investigative journalist, not a reporter per
Well,
se.
whatever, you knew he was a part of the media, correct?
No, I did not know that.
Okay, but at any rate, you spoke to him and you did not tell him about Jane's medical condition preventing her from having sex with you, did you?
I don't recall saying that to him, no.
Okay, thank you. And you didn't talk about Jane's medical condition to Rachel, did you?
Absolutely, I did.
Okay, you did. And did you tell anybody in the BDSM community about Jane's problems?
No, I did not.
Okay. But you did tell people in the BDSM community that you were unhappy in your marriage, is that correct?
No, I did not.
You didn't tell any Lawrence Wolf, anybody like that?
And who?
Lawrence Wolf?
Larry Wolf? Oh, I did not. No, Rachel might have, or it may have come up in conversation, but I did not come out and talk about Jane to other members of the BDSM community.
You did not tell anybody else in the BDSM community that you were unhappy at home?
I don't recall saying that, no.
You don't recall telling anybody else in the BDS community that you were going to divorce your wife when your children got out of school?
I told Vanita Porter that.
Okay. Now, one of the things you said you and your wife had an understanding, and she said basically you could do what you wanted to do, just don't embarrass the family or her or your wife.
That's correct.
Okay. So basically, don't rub Jane's face in what you were doing. Is that what you're saying? That was basically the understanding.
No, I wouldn't say that's the understanding. She simply didn't want to know what I was doing.
Okay, well certainly you didn't want to rub your wife's face in it then, right?
Well, of course not.
Because you just wouldn't want to do that, correct?
Because what?
You just wouldn't want to do that, correct?
Because I cared for her.
Because you loved your wife.
I do love her.
But Vanita Porter, you brought her into your church home, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, the church where you knew your wife was very active, correct?
That's correct.
And you said you did not want to rub your other women in your wife's face, correct?
That's correct.
But Vanita Porter is not even a Grosse Pointe Park resident, is that correct?
That's correct.
She lives in Allen Park, correct?
Yes.
You brought her to your wife's church home where your wife is very active, correct?
That's correct.
And you even allowed Vanita, who was your slave at that point in time, to serve on the very same committees as your wife, correct?
I did not allow that. The two of them got together and she offered to help Jane.
Okay.
As the master, couldn't you have prevented her from being on that board with your wife?
It wasn't a board, it was a committee, and I could have, yes, I could have. I could have, and
But you allowed.
I allowed her to come to the church to help her children, yes.
You allowed her to stay on the committee with your wife.
I don't know how involved she was with the committee.
That's not the question. You
What is the
allowed
question?
her to do that. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And you were the master.
I didn't disallow it.
You were the master. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
And you could have stopped that, correct?
I could have, yes.
But you said you didn't want to rub your wife's face in your other activities, but you allowed the woman that you were having relations with to serve on the committee with your wife, right?
I did not allow it.
Okay.
You didn't prevent it.
I didn't disallow it, nor did I allow it. That's
Okay.
correct. It was
Okay.
between the two of them.
But certainly your wife didn't know about the relationship. Okay, let me back up a little bit.
Take your time.
Thank you. The whole point of this so-called, the parameters of this so-called understanding was not to embarrass your wife, right?
Yes or no?
Yes, that's
Not
correct.
to embarrass your family, correct?
That's correct.
And you don't think that if your wife had found out, this would have been a great embarrassment to her?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, let me just say this. I want you to think about that.
Okay?
You think that bringing another woman that you were having a relationship with would have been an embarrassment if she found out?
Yes, it might have been, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And you said you didn't want to rub your wife's face in your outside activities, but you would take Rachel out to public events, is that correct?
Yes
I
or
don't-
no?
No, I wouldn't say public events. What?
Okay, did you invite her to the Winter Blast?
Oh, yes. No, she came, no, I did not invite her. She came to work it.
Okay, but at any rate, she was at a public event that you were highly involved in, is that correct?
No, I volunteered at it. I wasn't highly involved in
And
it.
this is a winter blast for the Rotary?
No, it's a winter blast for John Witz put on the winter blast for the city of Detroit.
Okay.
Rotary helped in one aspect of that, and I helped Rotary in that aspect.
Okay, go ahead.
And your Rotary friends were there, is that correct?
That's correct.
And your Rotary, your friends, if they were in a position, could observe the interaction between you and Rachel, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You took Rachel to an event, it was like basically a sit-down dinner at the War Memorial, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you actually had her sit at the table with some of your friends, correct?
That's correct.
And Jane's friends, correct?
I don't know if they were Jane's friends.
Well, at least
I don't recall who was there.
At least they were acquaintances of Jane.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
Okay, and you did not think that if your wife found out that you were there with Rachel and she knew the true relationship, that would have been an embarrassment to her?
It may have been, yes.
Okay. Additionally, you would go out quite frequently in public with Rachel, correct?
I wouldn't say quite frequently. We
You
went
take her
out.
out dancing to Mario's, correct?
We did go dancing to Mario's, yes.
And that is a public place, correct?
Away from Grosse Pointe, correct.
Irrespective.
Yes,
It's on the planet.
absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You would take her to the Blue Point restaurant, is that correct?
Yes.
And that's in Grosse Pointe?
No, it's in Detroit.
Okay. And you
How
took her,
far is that from Grosse Pointe?
A mile?
Okay.
and isn't it 2 blocks?
2 blocks? No.
Okay.
It's on the corner of Warren and Cadju. Grosse Pointe doesn't start until Mack and Cadju, which is many blocks away.
And you took her to Clausen Steakhouse?
Yes,
Okay. Out in public, correct?
yes, that is in public.
And you did that many times, correct?
We did that probably half dozen times, yes.
In addition, you wanted your attorneys to bring out all your activities at Rotary. You wanted them to play up your Rotary involvement more, correct?
Not play it up, I wanted them simply to show my involvement in Rotary, yes.
Did you want them to show that on Rotary events that Rachel would spend overnight time with you when you went out of town?
No,
Okay. There was times when there were Rotary events out of town, is that correct?
that's correct.
And Rachel would be there, is that correct?
One time,
Alpena,
Did she spend a night with you?
not in Alpena, no.
but where else?
The one time was Kalamazoo.
And she
Okay.
spent the night with you?
She did.
Okay. With your other Rotary people,
The event was over.
sir, but other Rotary people were there, correct?
Not when she spent the night, no.
You don't know whether other people stayed behind, do you?
I do not know that.
Okay, so you don't know whether people from the
Well,
Rotary...
counsel, that's speculative. Let's
Okay,
move
okay.
on.
Yeah.
But at any rate, you would use, and also, when you went to the Rotary in Chicago, a Rotary event in Chicago, you rendezvoused with Therese Giffen, obedient slave, is that correct?
Yes,
And you had her around your Rotary people, is that correct?
absolutely.
Did you think that that was improper?
No, I didn't. She was a friend. I hadn't met her but one time prior to that.
But you had had intimate relations with her, or play with her?
One time, correct.
Okay. You went to marriage counseling, correct?
I'm sorry?
You went to marriage counseling with Jane, correct?
Yes.
And that was sometime in 2011?
I thought it was 2010
Okay.
into 2011. It was, yes.
Okay. Well, part of your problems were the finances, is that correct?
Part of the problems for what?
You're married.
You're going to marriage counseling?
No,
Part of the problem was your gambling?
no.
And lastly, I want to talk to you a little bit about your contact with the people at Johnstone and Johnstone Real Estate Agency.
Okay.
Okay. Did you call the people at Johnstone and Johnstone the morning of January 24th before your wife's body was found?
The morning of January 24th,
Before
Yes.
your wife's body was found.
Before your wife's body was found.
well, I don't recall calling them on January 24th that morning. No, I called them on that afternoon.
Okay, when did you find out that your wife's body was
Excuse me,
discovered?
I need to.
Wait a
rephrase
minute, now
that.
you just can't say, excuse me, that's my
Oh,
courtroom.
I'm sorry, because I gave the wrong date. That's all I
Okay,
wanted.
very good now.
Okay.
When did you find out that your wife's body was discovered?
January 25th, that morning.
Okay.
All right, now go ahead.
Okay. On January 25th, do you recall speaking or calling Johnstone and Johnstone in the morning
Yes,
The 25th.
I do, yes.
before Jane's body was found? Is that correct?
Before I was notified of Jane's body being found,
Wait a minute,
correct.
when were you notified?
Sometime late that morning, 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I don't recall specifically the hour or the minute, but it was that late morning.
Okay.
And could you explain to us?
But what, back up a minute.
Okay.
You were notified of her body being found, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
But you called the realty company while she was missing.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
Okay. And prior to Jane's body being missing and you calling her on the morning of January 25th, before you knew she was dead, you used your cell phone to call Johnstone and Johnstone.
I don't recall what phone I used.
Okay.
Do you have something to refresh
Yes.
Let's show counsel at law.
Okay. And this is trial exhibit number 480 at trial.
Take a look, Mr. Ambrose. Show the witness.
I made a number of calls that day, but,
Just-
yep,
Mr.
that's
Bashir,
fine.
Just listen.
Okay?
Okay. When you're finished, let me know.
Okay, I called Kathy Young, yes.
Okay. And do you see whose phone you used to call Kathy Young?
Looks like mine.
Let me just show you.
And Kathy Young
Oh.
is affiliated with the realty company?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, below that, there's calls to Johnson & Johnson from my mother's phone.
Thank you. Can I have that back, please?
Yep,
When did you use your mother's phone?
on a regular basis.
What date on that date and time did you use your mom's phone?
Well,
I can read it off.
she can read it to you, I don't recall.
At 10 o'clock on 125, there was an outgoing call from his mother's phone to Johnstone and Johnstone Realty. And then again, and that call did not go through. It was a 0.2 seconds, or 2 seconds. And then he called right back January 25th, 10 o'clock, to Johnstone and Johnstone Realty from his mother's phone. And there was a 2-minute and 36-minute duration.
Okay. I don't dispute that.
Okay. So
So let's just say this.
Yes.
Around that time, when did you wake up?
When did I wake up? I don't think I ever went to sleep, Your Honor.
So you mean to tell me why your wife was missing?
Correct.
And it had been in excess of 24 hours?
No, it was not in excess of 24 hours.
It was close to 24 hours.
No, it was, I got home at about 8:15 on the 24th from Mack Avenue,
So
and so we're talking 12, 13 hours later.
And your wife's missing for 12 or 13 hours?
Correct,
Okay. Not come home all night,
correct.
not heard from her.
Not heard from her.
And then at 10:30 in the morning, you think to call the realty company.
Correct. Kathy.
you thought
No,
the
because
call-
Kathy Young called me first. I was returning her call. If you look at the call records, there was an incoming call from her to me. I returned the call.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, you got to look at the whole picture, Your Honor. I'm sorry to point Miss Lindsay's shortcomings out, but she didn't. You got to tell the truth.
You
The
got
whole-
it, Miss Lindsay?
oh, I heard the truth, yeah. Except for.
Don't be misleading him.
Except.
Yes, thank you.
Judge. Sir, on the 25th,
Okay?
you show me where you had an incoming call from them on the 25th, which is the date we're talking about.
Right here. Kathy Young, incoming call, right there.
Is that the 25th?
I don't know what day it is.
Look at the date, sir.
What date is that, Mr. Bashara?
I'm trying to see it. It's the day before, that evening.
The 24th.
So a call came in for 48 seconds, and I probably listened to the message, and I called her back the next day.
So once again, it wasn't my shortcoming because I was only talking about the calls on the 25th, correct?
Well, of course,
Yes or
but I was returning her call.
And that was important while your wife is missing?
Yes.
Call back a realty company about what? Your
I
wife is missing.
I
And you think to call a real estate company because she called
was
you?
up, Your Honor, I was up all night, focused and concerned and dealing with it. And when the woman called me, I had nothing else to occupy my time other than worrying about that. And so I took care of a couple pieces of business, yes.
And then when she didn't answer, you hung up and called right back.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
It wasn't, I don't think it was right back. It was within a few.
It was right back.
Was it? Okay, well then I did.
So whatever it is,
a lot
be
of-
quiet. Whatever it is that she wanted or left on that message, you wanted to make sure you talked to her.
The phone call may have been disconnected, is what I'm saying to you. At my house, the reception was very, very poor.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, at that point in time, you told Kathy Young that you had to postpone the closing because your wife is missing. Is that correct?
Is that
No,
what you told
No,
her?
I did not tell her that.
Okay.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
What? Okay, thank you. With that, we're going to lunch. 'Cause I know you got something to ask, don't you, Mr. Ambrose?
I do.
Just a couple questions. I don't like that non-response. Let's take an hour recess. We'll come back at 1:30.
This is the time where you've given me to be able to expound on some of these yes or no questions, Your Honor. So I hope I've given the proper time.
You will be given all the time you need. Mr.
Thank you.
Bashara.
Thank you, ma'am.
Step down. Let's make
Your
it.
Honor, sorry.
That's fine. Let's make it 1:45. All rise. 1:45.
All right.
Take your step, Mr. Bashir.
Yes, I'm gathering it together. I'm sorry, I'm not rising for you.
Take your time.
I will stand for you now.
I can let the people in the back know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I know Mr. Ambrose is gonna take
Your
it.
Honor, I'm sorry, may I be allowed to have a pen to make some notes?
Can
in
he
my-
have a pen? Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, what? Okay, come on. We need to get another date for that trial date. Yep.